You only see something like this once in a lifetime. Aviation incidents are one in a million. Planes and helicopters tackle a wide range of tasks, including passenger and cargo transport, as well as participating in rescue operations and transporting oversized loads. But things don't always go smoothly. Today, I've put together some incredible aviation moments captured on camera. Some footage may shock you, so buckle up. Let's go! I decided to start my collection with aviation disasters. A fifth-generation F-35 fighter jet crashed in Alaska, USA. The videos show the plane falling out of control. There was a powerful explosion upon impact. The U.S. Air Force reported that the incident occurred on January 28, 2025, at Aviation Air Force Base. The pilot managed to eject and avoid serious injuries despite the significant damage to the fighter jet. The pilot is safe. He was transported to Bassett Army Hospital for examination. This was noted in an official statement from the U.S. Air Force. 22. August 2006. The Tu-154 airliner. A Pulkovo Airlines flight from Anapa to St. Petersburg found itself in a strong thunderstorm front over the Donetsk region. The crew requested permission to climb to a higher altitude, but soon the plane began to rapidly lose altitude. 3 minutes later, it crashed to the ground near the village of Sukhaya Balka in the Konstantinovsky district. There were 160 passengers and 10 crew members on board. They all died. The official investigation showed that the cause of the crash was the aircraft entering a critical angle of attack followed by a flat spin. This tragic moment was captured on video, in which the teenagers Veselo. They became witnesses to the horrifying roar and the appearance of a black plume of smoke on the horizon. On April 29, 2013, in Afghanistan, a dashcam recorded the moment an American cargo plane, a Boeing 747, went down. The crash happened for a completely stupid reason. During takeoff, an armored vehicle slid off the plane, breaking loose from its mounts, damaging the pressure bulkhead and hydraulic system, and also bending the screw jack of both horizontal stabilizers. As a result, the plane went into a tailspin and crashed to the ground shortly after takeoff, causing a powerful explosion. All 7 crew members were killed. After this tragedy, Boeing tightened the requirements for securing cargo on board. The most tragic disaster in an airshow occurred near Lviv at the Sknylev airfield on July 27, 2002. During a high-performance maneuver, a Su-27 fighter lost control and crashed right into the crowd of spectators. As a result of the crash, 77 people lost their lives, including 28 children. Another 543 people were injured. The main cause of the tragedy was identified as the crew's deviation from the flight plan and errors in piloting the aircraft. Both pilots managed to eject, but they were found guilty of negligence and sentenced to prison time. The captain received a 14-year sentence but was released early after 11 years, while the co-pilot was sentenced to 8 years but got out after a few years. In Washington State, USA, a dashcam captured a truly amazing incident. A light single-engine plane crashed on the road due to engine failure. The footage shows the plane descending sharply, hitting a pole and power lines, followed by a powerful explosion, and the aircraft crashes in a cloud of smoke and flame. The plane hit several cars, but, amazingly, no one was hurt. Even the pilot and his passenger came out unscathed. In slow motion, you can see that despite the intense flames, the plane itself did not catch fire. They really were born under a lucky star, the pilot and passenger. This well-known tragedy happened in Taiwan in 2015. The ATR-72 plane lost one of its engines just 37 seconds after takeoff. The pilot tried to shut down the damaged engine right away, but made a mistake and turned off the wrong one. This caused the plane to tilt. During the fall, its wing struck a taxi and damaged the guardrail of the overpass before the plane plunged into the river. Rescuers reached the crash site 35 minutes later in inflatable boats. They were extracting survivors from the tail section of the plane and transporting them to the shore. Out of the 58 people on board, only 15 survived. 14 passengers and 1 flight attendant. In addition, the driver and passenger of the taxi were injured as they were crossing the bridge at the time of the crash. In West Virginia, during an air show, 2 planes collided in midair. One of them fell and exploded. The pilot. A tragic death occurred many years ago in Malta. When one plane clipped the tail of another, it lost control and crashed into the water, and the pilot died on the spot. Such incidents are unfortunately not uncommon at air shows. For example, in Madrid during an air show a jet crashed, the pilot died from burns, and 8 more people were injured in Toronto. Fortunately, the crowd of spectators was at a safe distance from the incident, and in Alaska in 2010, a tragedy occurred with the crew of a strategic military transport aircraft. During a training flight ahead of the airshow that was set to take place 3 days later, the pilots made a mistake and the plane went down. All 4 people on board lost their lives. As you can see, airshows can be quite dangerous, and in such cases, it's always better to stay at a safe distance. On May 5, 2019, a Sukhoi Superjet 100 airliner, which had taken off from Moscow to Murmansk, encountered an emergency situation. A few minutes after takeoff, the crew reported that the plane was struck by lightning, which caused several instruments to shut down. The pilot requested an emergency landing at the departure airport Sheremetyevo. As the plane was trying to land, it was descending at a high vertical speed, which led to a hard touchdown on the runway and what pilots call bouncing. Despite all the efforts of the pilots, the airliner kept bouncing off the runway. On the third impact, one of the landing gear struts couldn't take it anymore and punctured the fuel tank. The fuel ignited instantly, and the plane continued to move for a while due to inertia, after which it was turned around and came to a complete stop. The fire that started at the moment of the fuel leak spread quickly, and by the time the firefighters arrived, the tail section of the plane was almost completely burned up. As a result of the disaster, 40 people out of the 78 on board lost their lives. This tragic moment was captured on several cameras, including one that was inside the cabin. On July 10, 2018, a tragedy occurred involving a Convair CV-340 aircraft near Pretoria, the capital of South Africa, at Wonderboom Airport. The plane heading to Wonderboom crashed just 5 miles from the airport. The cause of the accident was the failure of one of the engines. As a result, this charter plane, which was on an international flight, lost control, leading to its crash. As a result of the crash, 20 people were injured, including 4 who sustained serious injuries, among them the pilot, who was trapped in the cockpit. All the injured were urgently hospitalized. On April 15, 2018, a tragic Bell 206 helicopter crashed in the mountains of Colombia, killing the evacuation team leader and injuring 2 of his colleagues. The helicopter was conducting an operation to evaluate another aircraft that had crashed a week earlier. In the mountainous region of the Cauca department, in western Colombia, a Bell 206L4 helicopter belonging to the Helifly airline attempted to evaluate a crashed aircraft of the same company. The crew members prepared a cable to lift the damaged aircraft, but the helicopter pilot lost control and a crash occurred. During the fall, the helicopter's propellers hit the group's leader, Ivan Andres Lopez London, who died at the scene. 2 more members of his team were injured to varying degrees. After a while, both crashed helicopters were removed from the scene. Aviation disasters are always very frightening, especially when they involve the loss of life. However, flights do not always end or begin so tragically. Sometimes, there are amazing and even funny incidents involving planes and helicopters that I'm about to tell you about. Eyewitnesses filmed an unusual takeoff of an airplane from an airfield near the city of Badebo in the Irkutsk region. The melting snow had created a large mud puddle on the runway, and as the plane began to rise into the air, it raised a huge cloud of spray and dirt. Despite this extreme situation, the plane took off successfully, although it was completely covered in mud. But another video shows a plane landing at an airfield in Chikaka in severe frost. When the plane engaged the reverse thrust to slow down, a cloud of snow was kicked up, creating an intense braking effect on the snowy runway. Beachgoers in Anapoth filmed a B-200 aircraft in action, which is used for fighting forest fires. This special aircraft is flying in circles over the beach, then, descending toward the water, it touches the surface to scoop up water into its tanks. After that, the plane heads to the fire site to drop water. In another video, 2 B-200 aircraft are seen simultaneously scooping water from a river for later use in fighting fires. It's truly an impressive sight. You can see how powerful machines work with precision and coordination, delivering crucial water to help fight the fires. During the cargo drop from the transport plane, eyewitnesses captured it on video. The exciting moment when the Su-30 fighter performed an amazing maneuver. The fighter jet flew so close that it literally peeked inside the cargo plane. This maneuver was not only spectacular, but also quite complex from a technical point of view. When one plane is flying behind another, especially from the back, its movements can be significantly hindered by the turbulent airflow created by the lead aircraft. On January 15, 2009, the A320-214 airliner, the U.S. Airways Flight AEU E-1549, which was traveling from New York to Charlotte and Seattle, had 150 passengers and 5 crew members on board. A minute and a half after takeoff, the plane collided with a huge flock of Canada geese, causing both engines to fail. The crew decided to land the plane right on the water of the Hudson River in New York. Despite the incredibly challenging conditions, the pilots successfully landed the plane. The lives of all those on board were saved. This truly amazing story inspired producers to create the Hollywood film Miracle on the Hudson, in which the main character was played by Tom Hanks. People driving along the highway turned on the camera, noticing that the Mi-8 helicopter was flying very low. Height, only 50 to 60 feet, straight along the road, without turning. The reason for such a flight remained a mystery, but the spectacle was quite impressive. In another incident, a Mi-35 attack helicopter flew at low altitude directly over the beach, surprising vacationers. Such flights, especially at low altitude, always attract attention and cause admiration among spectators. A similar incident happened again when a Mi-35 zoomed over the beach, creating yet another spectacle for the amazed people enjoying their time off. Recently, a vacationer on Mayho Beach filmed a KLM passenger plane approaching the airport, Princess Juliana Airport on the Caribbean island of St. Martin. Vacationers standing in the shallow water raised their hands up, and those sunbathing on the crowded beach could not contain their delight. The roar of the engines was deafening as the massive plane flew right over their heads at a frighteningly close distance. Mayho Beach has become one of the most popular spots in the world for watching planes land. Every day, thousands of thrill-seekers gather here to stand right under the flight path as passenger planes land at the international airport. Princess Juliana enjoying the unique spectacle. On Mayho Beach, which is adjacent to the airfield, amazing videos are often filmed in which planes fly literally over the heads of vacationers. However, an even more impressive spectacle is the takeoff of the plane. People standing right behind a taking-off plane risk getting hit by the powerful jet blast. It's so strong that it can even flip cars over. These people, despite the obvious danger, still ended up right behind the taking-off plane. And you can see the consequences of that in the video. Finally, I want to show you a very funny incident with an aircraft commander, which could have led to a disaster, but everything worked out. The incident happened on a flight from Minnesota to Las Vegas when the captain went to the bathroom and couldn't get out because the lock was broken. As a result, the co-pilot was left alone in the cockpit, and he had never landed a plane without the captain's help before. It was an emergency situation, but thankfully, there were no casualties. In the video recorded during the incident, the captain informed the passengers about the situation, reassuring them and explaining that the co-pilot was handling the plane just fine. Aviation. It's truly something amazing. A huge metal apparatus is capable of lifting a person into the sky and delivering him to the desired point in a short period of time. And although many are afraid of flying, I hasten to reassure you. Compared to car accidents, flying is considered the safest. So, fly with confidence. And now, friends, I want to make you an interesting offer. You have a unique opportunity to become part of our team. If you have video editing skills, you can voice over videos in Russian, English, and other languages. Or do you write interesting scripts? We will be glad to work with you. Write to ours. The link to the Telegram bot is in the description. That's all for today, everyone. Bye.